Welcome, everyone. So today is all about the website. I know when you first hear about a website, you think, is there any way that I could get away from or avoid creating a website? We've all been there. We've all thought it. However, creating a website is a fantastic way to be able to kind of put your business on autopilot. I had somebody recently ask me, what are some things that I can do to kind of put my business on autopilot. And a website is one of those things. Now, in the beginning, when you do put your website on out there, it's not just going to randomly get found. There's work that you have to do. Well, over time, you are going to automate some of your processes because of your website, and it's going to make getting new students a lot easier. So today I have two amazing tutors that are hanging on out with me, and we're going to be sharing all different kinds of information, secrets, thoughts, ideas about your website. I've got Beth Hansford. She's an online Spanish tutor. We've got Suzanne Davis, who is an online writing tutor and academic writing coach. And we have myself. I'm an online reading tutor. So we're going to be really sharing and having a conversation. We'd love to be able to add in any questions that you guys have as well. So feel free to write down any questions that you like. And if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe and hit that like. The more people that we can get really learning all of the ins and outs of our tutoring business, the easier it is for all of us. So welcome, Suzanne.
Welcome, and thank you for having me, Joanne. I'm excited.
I am always excited to have you on. And Beth, thank you for joining us as well. So today we're just going to kind of do like this, it's kind of like an open question, open thoughts. The first is like, what were your thoughts about creating your website before you had to create it? And I'm just going to call on you guys. So Beth, what were your thoughts before you started your website, before you had to create it?
Yeah, honestly, I just had no clue what I was doing. And I was really nervous. I thought it had to be, I thought I had to share like all of my credentials, all of the credentials that I had, the little bit of credential that I had at the time, because I started tutoring when I was just brand new in the professional field. And so I had no clue what I was doing technologically with creating the website. I was very lost. I was just kind of trying to figure it out kind of on my own. I wasn't really plugged into the community yet. I was a little bit, but not fully. And so, I was just kind of fumbling around. And then as soon as I realized what an awesome community you had here, I was like, okay, maybe they can help me with the website, and you all definitely did. The first one that I created, and then the one that I have today. So anyway, I didn't know what I was doing before.
Yeah.
When I first created mine.
Suzanne, how about you? What were your thoughts about creating a website before you created it?
Well, like Beth, I was really nervous, but as you know, Joanne, and as some of the other people in the community know, I like to overstudy or over prepare. So I got WordPress, which was one of the more complicated ones out there. But, I signed up, I took a class. I was like, okay, I'm going to study and all these lectures and write down all these directions. And it took a long time for me to feel that anxiety kind of calm down a little bit. I had bought my domain name in November, and I kept studying, and I don't think I built mine until March the following year. So it was very nerve-wracking, and I was nervous about the tech piece, but I was also nervous what to write on it.
Right.
Like I had no clue what to write on it. And despite being a writing tutor, it was like, how do you write web copy? Because that's a whole different thing. And what do people want to see on a tutor website?
No, I totally agree with you. That was the thing that had me hung up, but I don't know what to write. And it was like I could find somebody who could design a website, sure, but I still had to come up with the writing. And I had a friend that I had talked to. She was like 3 houses down from me, and she created websites. And she's like, I'm just going to need you to send me the copy. Like, what do you want me to put on there? I'm like, oh, I still have to come up with that. Like, I thought that like when she created my website, she was just going to do all of that and take care of that and like relieve myself of all of that stress. And so I was like still back at like square one. Like I had no idea what to write on my website. And I don't know if you guys have done this. Have you ever started like researching then other people's websites to see what kind of stuff they wrote? I totally did too. I started just typing in like
I did, but I didn't know any other tutors. And so I was looking at websites that weren't really relevant.
Yeah.
And they weren't good models for me.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at all the bigger tutor company websites. And I think my first website, I kind of modeled it more off of those, which that is totally the wrong approach. I know now because we're not a big company, we're our own tutor, and that's an advantage that we have. We are our own business and we are just ourselves, and that's a huge advantage. So yeah, that was definitely the wrong approach to like try to not copy but imitate Wisant or any of the other big tutoring companies,
right?
Or whatever I was looking at the time.
It is a huge selling point that we are an independent tutor, which if you start modeling the bigger companies, you lose that voice because you start using like about us, you start saying our, and you lose your voice when you try to model a bigger company. Another mistake that I've seen a lot of tutors make at this stage of the game, because there are so many other tutor websites out there, they start copying it because they don't know what else to write. And maybe they mimic kind of the same ideas and thoughts. Maybe they don't copy it word for word. Some have copied it word for word, and then people have complained to me that so-and-so stole copy. There's nothing I can do there. So just know in the beginning, do not copy somebody else's website. That's not nice. You're not going to make friends that way. They're going to be very angry with you. And who knows, they may even contact me. You don't want Big Brother on your side here, right? Don't make me come down on you. No. I think the important thing to know is if you're feeling stuck in what to write, you're not alone. Everybody starts at that point of like, I don't know what to write, but here's what a lot of people don't know that no one will share with you. Are you guys ready? Are you listening extra hard, guys? You don't know if the website that you are taking a look at as an example is converting clients and students. And so it's the blind leading the blind. It could have been somebody who never even thought about taking a course, getting instruction on what needs to be where, how you need to talk. It's the blind leading the blind, and that your website may still get you students, but what I hear mostly from other tutors is, my website doesn't work. And it's like, well, how much time have you spent on studying how websites work? And does yours follow that formula so that it can work? Because websites do work. To say that they don't work is crazy. Why would all of us be creating websites if they didn't work, right? That wouldn't be happening. Oh, I love it. So a lot of people want to know, like, how much time does it take to create a website? So you already kind of stepped into that a little bit, Suzanne, with you. I love you, Suzanne. So I say this with the biggest of hearts, but you're definitely a perfectionist.
I'm a healthy striver. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm like Oprah, the healthy striver.
The healthy striver. All right, she's a healthy striver, guys. She's a healthy striver. But how many months did it take from when you bought your URL to having your website complete?
um, well, complete, like the design of it was much easier than complete with the writing.
Okay.
So like the design of it, I would say I had in December, but there's this way with almost any website platform you use to say under construction or under, yeah, just launching, those types of things. And so I had that page for probably until March or April.
Mm-hmm.
And then, no, maybe February. Then I did write stuff, but it wasn't good stuff on my website, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't have all of the pages that it should have had. It wasn't actually until I found the Insiders, and we had that book club at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking at a book called Everybody Writes by Anne Hanley, which is excellent. Like if you wonder what you should write, how you should write headlines, all of those things, that's a really good book and starting place. But it was our conversation having that about that book that really helped me. And I can remember very clearly after the first time I spoke with everybody in the book club, I had my About Me page written, which was one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, if people know like that there's resources out there that can help you in this process, which is why I actually created the planner. Like, how do you plan what you're going to write on each of those pages? And I know that Beth, she's got the link. She's going to throw that link on in there for you guys if you're interested in like, what do I actually write on each of these pages? It will guide you through the process so that it's a beginning point for you. So if you're just in the beginning stages of creating your website, that's a great tool for you as you think about, well, what is it that I need to write on inside of there? Beth, I'm curious for you, how much time did it take you to create your first website?
That is a great question. I don't know that I honestly remember how much time it took me to create my first website. I know it was weeks of work, of hours of a day. So it was like a long time. I don't know exact numbers, but it was far too long, far longer than it should have been.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you. Everything in the beginning, by the way, you guys, takes longer. I was just talking with Beth about, I'm creating these like 15, 30 second, 60-second videos on like TikTok. I'm like, why did it take me an hour to create the last one? Like, why? It is like 30 seconds long, not even like 27 seconds long. Why did it take me an hour to create that, right? And you might be thinking the same thing too, like why is this taking me so long to create my website? Or why do I keep putting this off? Why am I procrastinating on this? But I would love to know from you guys, like now that you've also gone through this process, was it worth it? Was it worth it for you? So both of them are like shaking their heads. How do you think your business would be affected if you didn't create a website? What would have happened for you, Beth?
I would currently only have one client instead of 4. So that's really, really important for me. I would only have 25% of the income that I have.
Yeah. Because you can't hook nothing up to Google My Business. I mean, they have like some, like they have like they do have like Google My Business has like a poor website kind of builder. It's all right. It's not the best. I don't suggest using that for your website, but Google My Business is a big way that you get found for your business, isn't it?
Yeah. And since we've made since we've done what we've done this year with my website, it's just been amazing what's happened. But yeah, no, I would not have had the business that I've had this year without my website, for sure.
Well, that's I think inspiring for a lot of people to know that, wait, okay, so you can make a website, you can get students from it. My website, you guys, is out there. I have people that find me locally. I have people that find me from all over the world who find me because of content that I use to push clients to my website. And I haven't had to advertise or let anybody know that I am a tutor in my business. I'm going to make the number up. I know it is, but it's been a really long time, 2 or 3 years. I haven't had to do any kind of, big pushes to be like, hey, you guys, I'm taking on students or anything like that, because I automatically have people coming right into my email inbox constantly. Suzanne, how about you?
It's really made a complete difference in my tutoring. Like my first couple clients I got through being on a tutor directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on a tutor directory, you're competing with people, a lot of times over price, or factors that, because you're just seen as generic. And so for me, the website was how I could show people who I am and what I do and connect with them. And it's also now like this automated thing. People go, they sign up for a consultation. We have the consultation. It's a really smooth process.
Mm-hmm.
And I get, because I have that website and it shows up again and again, and I've pointed people to it. I've become really one of the go-to people in my niche because I have that. And this week I had a consultation with somebody, and she actually just wanted to start with lessons before the free consultation. I had to insist on the consultation. I was like, really? No, we should have this and talk about what you need and all of those things. But she said, well, I was ready to hire you because I saw your website and everything that you do on your website, and I trust you. And that is gold.
Yes.
And I find that people have been all over my website, my blog, my content. They've checked me on other places too, but having that website really conveys a certain sense of legitimacy. And it's also a place to show your expertise, your testimonials. It really makes you stand out and not just be somebody on a directory. And I think the quality of clients that I get that way are better.
Yeah. I love that. Like, because like the quality of clients is better. They're more eager to hire you. There's less trying to convince them that this is something that they should do, that it should be online, that they should pay you this much money. You have less of those kinds of conversations because you've built your authority online. And one of those ways that you did that was through your website. How about for you, Beth?
Yeah, I've absolutely, even though I'm newer still, I have had clients that, I've only had to have a 5-minute conversation, consultation with 1 or 2 of my clients because they are just about ready to hire me. They only maybe have 1 or 2 questions. And none of my clients now that I've gotten in the past, year, well, maybe 8 months, have questioned my price. And it's just a magical, wonderful thing. I used to have to, before I had this website and before I made some other changes in my business that I think have positioned me better, to be able to find my content and everything. And the website is a major, major, major part of that. Before I had that, I had people price shop me. I had people try to argue my prices down and down and down and down. And it's so nice to get to a consultation and have somebody basically ready to hire you, and have somebody already know you, already feel like they know you and trust you already. And it's just really, really wonderful. So I've had very similar experiences to Suzanne, and it's really, really wonderful.
Oh,
And
that's
they
awesome.
love it too. The clients love it too, because your clients, I feel like they want to be able to find as much on the internet about you as possible before they hire you. If people can't find somebody on the internet before they are trying to hire them, they're not going to as much anymore. It's
Right.
very much that kind of market now. So that's
Yeah.
something to consider as well.
Yeah. And we had the question. I love this question because we use a lot of terminology that as tutors who've been in the industry for a little while, we forget that these are things that some other people might not know the meaning of. So a domain is that those letters that you type on into the search bar or the URL, that's your name that you're buying. So like mine for my business is the online reading tutor, theonlinereadingtutor.com. And then for my domain name for helping tutors is onlinetutorcoach.com. What's your domain name, Beth, for your website?
The Spanish tutor for kids.com, which is a
Awesome.
keyword. So
And Suzanne, what's the domain name for yours?
academicwritingsuccess.com.
Awesome. Now, if you go to any of those websites, guys, remember what we talked about in the beginning. Feel free to take a look at them, but we're not going to copy them, right? Because that leaves a sour taste in any tutor's mouth. They will find out if you've copied their content, and they will complain, and usually they complain to me. So
Well, it's happened to me and I didn't complain to you. So,
oh, she did. See, you should have told me.
well,
Yeah.
what could you do?
Right, right.
What could I do? Sometimes you just have to let things go and,
Yeah.
you know,
And you have to realize, like, we feel like this is like kind of our baby when we put it on out
yeah.
there. So it's almost like you're stealing our baby when you do that. Okay, so no stealing babies, people. No stealing babies.
Yes.
It feels weird to use that, but don't you kind of feel like you put a lot of time, work, sweat, toil. You wanted to make sure that you said the right things at the right time in the right place, and then somebody just comes and snatches it. And it does
Yeah.
not feel good in any way. So you can take a look at the other people's websites, but remember that it's the content that you find out about your ideal client. Those are the words that you're going to be using, because you might not have the same ideal client as Suzanne. You may not have the same ideal client as Beth or myself. So it doesn't make sense to even take some of that content and put it on your website, because we all have to figure out who our ideal client is for ourselves. Yeah, Beth.
Lori has a great question as well. But no, I just wanted to say I absolutely agree with what you just said, Joanne. We have to all find out what our content needs to be, for sure. But yes, Lori has a great question. What pages did you start with on your website, and what did you add later?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I started with my homepage, which I thought was going to be the page that everybody was going to come on. I didn't realize that people could come onto like any page on their first search of you. I then added my About Me page so that I shared a little bit more information about who I am. From there, I added my testimonials, and I added my frequently asked questions. Those were the very first ones that I know that I definitely added. How about you, Suzanne?
Well, the homepage. The next was the tutoring services page, so that they could link together. That on that homepage, they could click the link. So there was that. Followed by the About Me page. My FAQ. I got my blog page started really early on, so. And then I didn't have testimonials at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've wound up extending one of my pages, my tutoring services pages, and I have like that page with all the testimonials linked together.
I love it. I love it.
So
Yeah. And so some people might be like, I don't have any testimonials yet. That's okay. Create the page, but hide it. Like if you use a service
yeah,
like Wix, you can hide a page. You can put it in place, but hide it so that it doesn't show on up. Also, the other thing that you can do is you don't have to publish your website right out of the gate if you don't want to. You could wait till you have a testimonial, but you also don't have to wait either because it's not like people are going to come flooding to your website right out of the gate. It just won't happen.
no, it doesn't. I found, like I got 2 clients not through my website and then had them on my website. But yeah, and because I blog, I wanted that blog page early on.
Yeah, and somebody was asking, and you ended up creating yours through WordPress. You did mention too that it was more difficult when you started out because you were doing your research, and at that time, if you researched what was the best tool out there to create a website, everybody was saying WordPress. And I was looking at that as an online tutor. I was like, oh no, I've used WordPress for my blog and I've broken it already twice. Like, that is not the best tool for me or for a tutor that just wants to put their information out there so people know that they exist. It's not necessary to have to learn the ins and outs of WordPress in order to get the word out there about your business. I know you chose it because for blogging at the time, it was one of the only tools that you could have a blog and your website like in one place. And that didn't exist with other platforms at the time, which is why a lot of people had said, like, go with this platform. For newer tutors, I'm curious, would you still suggest going along with WordPress or something else that's kind of created already outside of the box?
WordPress only. I suggest WordPress only if you are very interested in tech. Like if you're tech inclined and you want to learn something, and you're willing to like read a book or watch YouTube videos to figure that out, it's great. But most people aren't that way. And so I try to make really, really clearly, like if you're somebody who's going to get frustrated because you don't know how to do something, go with Wix, go with, now I hear about Esme uses Squarespace. I have another friend, I've heard really good things about that. But WordPress, I always say, you have to at least have an interest in tech to really get into it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
most people I come across, they just want to get started and they don't have that interest.
Right. And I would veer people away from actually the Google sites for creating your website because you do not have control over a lot of the different aspects on there. So if you're just getting started and you're like, well, I want to have something in place, that's fine, but it would be a temporary hold. It would not be my like first like go-to place for creating my website because I'm not looking for something that just gets the job done. I'm looking for something that's going to convert. Right. So I don't have the ability to add on there an email list. I don't have the ability to add, certain aspects that are going to drive traffic to me and help me create a name for myself. So I think that's kind of like an important thing to really think about when it comes to that Google Sites. Yes, it does exist. It seems easy to use. Just isn't going to do the job though, guys. It really isn't going to do the job for you to be able to get found and all of that great stuff. So
no, you're not going to look really good either. I checked Google Sites yesterday to see it. And there were like 4 or 5 templates in a very generic looking. So it wouldn't give it even a nice look. There are other things like you could get Wix, the free version, and that's going to look nicer, or some of the other free versions. But I do recommend one that you own.
Yeah, for sure. That way.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
sorry, go ahead.
Nope, not going.
You you at least you at least need you at least need a domain that you can purchase for sure, to be able to be found. So if you don't have a custom domain, it's going to be really, really challenging for you, I think.
It's just harder to get picked up by Google and be taken seriously. And that's what we want. We want to get found for like keywords. We want to get found for SEO. We want to get found for different things. It's a lot easier to do if you have your own domain name, which is, again, the .com piece of it. So awesome. So I'm curious, you guys, what's the best advice for somebody who's creating their own website right now? What is the best advice you have for those tutors? Suzanne, we're going to start with you. Oops, we lost your... Oh, there we go.
Okay. Get started today, but do it like one page at a time. You know, what's the bare essentials you need? Don't take a look at it and say, oh, you know, I need this page, and then not start anywhere. Start with just one page at a time and get right into it. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel better and better. And then just remember, it's not permanent. You can always make changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beth, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely one step at a time, like Suzanne said. Definitely make sure to tap into the community in whatever area you're in, whether you're in the Ultimate Support Group, whether you're in the Insider Secrets Club, especially if you're in Jumpstart. We're doing it this week. We're doing websites. Please, please, please ask us for help. We are here for you.
Next 4 weeks, we're working on websites.
Yeah, right. I'm just we're starting it this week.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, anytime over the next 4 weeks. Definitely make sure to ask us for help. Yeah, definitely. Don't try to do it on your own, but also don't fall for any of those people that say, "Oh, I can make your website for you and make it all SEO optimized and it'll be great," because you want to be able to know the basics by yourself, and also you can waste a lot of money doing that.
Yes.
You want to be able to learn the basics by yourself.
Yep.
Anyway.
I can attest to that. I had a tutor who approached me. I was at a conference, and the tutor approached me, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like I have made the best investment." I'm like, "Oh, what was that?" She goes, "I had somebody create my website for me." I go, "Great. When did you have them start, creating your website?" She goes, "Oh, 6 months ago." I'm like, "Awesome. Has it converted into any new students?" She goes, "No." Like, she hadn't even thought about it. Like, she thought this was an awesome investment because she wouldn't have to do it. Like, this would just automatically get her clients. And so when I asked that question, like, all of a sudden her mindset started to change. And she's like, "Well, how do you get found by the way by people?" I go, "Well, a lot of it is through, search engine optimization, SEO, and having certain keywords." I go, did they brainstorm some different keywords with you?" And she goes, "Yeah, they did actually." I go, "Great. Can I take a look at some of the keywords that they used to help you get found?" So we looked at them and I researched them. They had 0 people looking for that keyword. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if 0 people are looking for a keyword, will I get found and will I get hired from that keyword? No. So they started with all these local searches to try to help her get found locally. And what they could have done instead was just like set her up with Google My Business. That would have taken care of that part, and they could have focused on some other keywords that could have gotten her found. And, she ended up spending $10,000 on this. And when I explained to her, like, a website is like the investment of your business. This is how people are going to get to see you. So I definitely agree with that. Like, don't hire somebody to do your website for you. It can be very costly, but then you don't know how to make changes. I had somebody one time tell me that they had to hire somebody else to make changes for them every time they wanted to add something. I'm like, so you can't really even blog because you don't even know how to add a blog post on there. She's like, no, I don't have access to it. Only the person over here has access to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. You want complete control over your website so that you can make changes, because your website is not a one and done thing. You're going to go through revisions. You're going to realize that things have changed online with how people do business. So you need to change things up. But my best advice that I would love to say for you guys is create a welcome video for it. Now, this is something that we do in week 4 of the website portion of Jumpstart, but definitely create a video that, speaks to your ideal client. It doesn't just introduce who you are. You really want something that is going to connect them and connect their emotions so that they want to hire you. This is huge. When they get to see who you are, they already feel connected. They're like, yep, want to hire that person. So let them see who you are, your authentic self, and that will make a really big difference for you. Awesome. So we have, I'm curious to know, how do your specific clients find you guys today? Suzanne, how do your clients find you?
They do a search. They type it into Google. They know they're looking for an academic writing tutor. I generally come up right after Wyzant.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to my website. They already know what they're looking for, and they check me out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other way is that they find my content in other platforms. And then because they find my content, they want to come that way. But it's not advertising.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't need to advertise in at least a year. And so, I'll think, the break is coming up. I won't have that many clients, but they're coming right through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're coming right through.
Mm-hmm. And it's because and a lot of that is because your website's getting more visibility because it's been length of time is there. You continue to add some blog posts on your website, which then kind of gets that ball rolling for, Google to know, okay, still in business. People are coming to the website. It doesn't have a high kickoff rate. Like people are coming, they're taking action on it. So those are different signals to Google that it's a website that should still be listed. So.
Oh, there was one other thing I just forgot. Can I squeeze it in?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other way is people will come looking for a problem. And that's usually a question that they type in. They find my blog post. And on my website, there's a free thing they can download. And there's always that little form that, they sign up and they get on this list. And I have a welcome sequence of emails. And so I get a lot of people, they didn't come to my website for tutoring, but after those emails, they convert and turn into students. So that's another way.
Yeah, because not everybody is in the same buy mode at the same time. We think when we get into business that if somebody does a search for online reading tutor and they find our website, then they're automatically going to hire us. But they're just in search mode. They might not be ready to hire somebody. They may have just had some concerns. They're curious. They start typing stuff on in, but then they're like, I don't know. Right? They're not convinced. And so having that free tool that they can download and then get on your email so that you can stay on top of mind for them, then you have the time now to slowly, have them repeatedly see your stuff and know who you are and make that decision if you're the person that they want to work with. And a lot of tutors aren't going to do business that way, guys. So you will stand out. And I think this is a big thing that helps tutors stand out, is a lot of people are like, well, how do I stand out amongst all the other tutors? This is how you do it. Add a video on there, create a freebie so you get their email list, get them on your email, and create quality content that they want to keep coming back for so that you stand out as an expert in their mind. How about you, Beth? How are people finding, how are your clients finding your website today?
Yeah, absolutely. Google My Business has been key for me. Actually, the vast majority of my clients are local, but most of them still work with me online, which is really fun. A few, like one or two still come in person, but I offer that as well. So that's a lot of fun. So Google My Business is the main source for me at the moment. But I'm also working on some other content strategies as well.
Yes, you are.
So.
Yes, you are. I love it. I love it. And I would love to know from you guys, where are you at in the stage of creating your website? Are you at the beginning? Would you say like in the middle? Or would you say you're at the advanced? Type your answer below. I want to know. So if you're in the chat right now, type it on in. And if you are watching a replay of this, let us know down below so that we can continue to help you as well as you are building your website. Have you ever had to update your website? Big yes. All right. So what are some reasons why you would update a website?
Okay. Well, sometimes it's my tutoring services change. Right. So it's, I'm offering something else, or I'm kind of changing the tools that I use. And so on those occasions, I update something. I update blog posts as I get more information. Things do change, even in academic writing. And so, I go back, I change those things. I've also changed my video because, my first video that I put out there was not very good. It was good enough, but it wasn't perfect or anything, or the healthy striver in me wasn't satisfied. And so, but I put it up there, but then I've redone it, I've changed the script a little bit, as to what I say. So things do change, but and that's partly part of the good thing. Like you can create it and feel like this doesn't have to be this masterpiece all at once, that you can make changes and improve it. And I like doing that.
Yeah,
I really do.
And you learn over time too. I remember one point you were having a problem with your website because you have all these blog posts and your clients were converting. What was happening? Remind me what was happening at that point.
Okay, so what was happening was they were signing up for my email list, but they weren't, you had looked at, I was showing you my website and you said, well, where can they sign up for a consultation on this page? And I was like, they go to the homepage, and you're like, no, there should be something that says, free consultation on every page. And so I found a way to do like a little button, and I put it at the top of my page, which was the other really big piece of information. Put that there. So it's the first thing on that page. And that made a huge difference, because all of a sudden, I went from converting people to converting people for consultations multiple times a week. And it was a huge difference. I saw it within 2 weeks. By changing that one thing. So, yeah, get opinions from other people in the field too, that you trust. Yes. I would say that, because I trusted you and I knew you were successful. I wouldn't say, like my mom, I love her. She probably wouldn't be the best person for me to get information about what to update or change or things.
Right. So know that the person that you're talking to actually has background knowledge in successful website building, not just that they've built
Yes.
a website, but they know what the success elements are of a website, right? So I think that's really, really critical. And we made a change on Beth's website too. Beth, you were so disappointed. I remember when you came to me and you said, Joanne, I'm getting a lot of traffic on my website and I'm not getting any calls. I don't understand what's going on. Tell us what was happening there.
Yeah, so I got an email from Google Analytics, which it's a free tool that you can use to track the results that you're getting on your website. Highly recommend. But I got this email saying, you're getting this much, this many people are finding your website, and it was hundreds of people each month were finding my website. And they were not only not calling me, but they weren't even clicking on my website once they saw the description of my website in Google. And I was like, okay, what in the world is going on? I mean, some of them were clicking, but not nearly as many as you would expect based on the numbers that I was getting finding me. So I was like, okay, what in the world? So I talked to you about it, and you said, okay, let's check on some things. So we went into the Google Analytics and we looked at keywords that I was being found for, and they were completely different from what I had reflected in the description of my website and then on my website in general. So my website was completely geared towards elementary age students and younger, like the younger children. And then people were finding me. I mean, it made sense. It was the beginning to end. It was the end of the semester, beginning of the new semester. People were finding me for high school Spanish tutoring. They were wanting high school Spanish tutoring. People were, struggling in their Spanish classes. And so that's what people were looking for. And so we were like, okay, let's figure this out. So, because I offer Spanish, high school Spanish tutoring, but that wasn't reflected anywhere on my website.
Right.
So we made that huge difference. We offered 2 different paths for my clients to take. We still kept I was like having this issue where I was like, okay, I don't want to let go of tutoring the little ones. You were like, you don't necessarily have to. We can just split the clients up a little bit. And so we made the 2 paths on my website. So now if you go to my website, you would see, okay, click here if you're a parent of a younger child, click here if you're a parent of an older child, to sum it up. So
yeah.
yeah.
And that did
it's made a massive difference.
It's made a massive difference, and we've seen a lot more of those older kids come on through because of it, because there was messaging for those older students. Now, if we had just left it the way it was, you wouldn't have hit those older students because the messaging was for the younger kids. And now you're finding you are getting a lot more students focusing on the older demographic versus the younger. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So we got to go where the clients are. And if that made the biggest difference, that's awesome. But we had to create 2 different videos, 2 different marketing messages, right? 2 different freebies, because what the younger kids were looking for and what the older kids were looking for were completely different things, right? And so if you want to really attract those people, they're not going to be attracted by, you saying that you'll teach them, some of the basic words of Spanish, and you'll get them writing the words and, singing and dancing and playing games. Like, that's not something that a parent of an older student is looking for. So the marketing isn't there. And this is where a lot of people say, well, I don't really want to niche down, because if I do, I'm going to get less students. And the absolute opposite will happen for you is you're going to now attract more students because you're figuring out who it is. Now, maybe we don't have the right demographic for you, but that's a completely different story, right? So that's something that can be fixed over time if you haven't found the right demographic. And the right demographic with the right messaging, with the right images, will make a huge difference. Now, in the beginning, a lot of you guys hear that I suggest having pictures of you on your website. How did you guys feel when I said that? When you guys heard me say that you need to have pictures of you on there, what kinds of things came to your head?
Well, I was worried. We did this a few videos ago, but I was just worried about having my face out there and who's going to see me, right? But I found that was easier than the psychological piece of doing the video, so there definitely was a difference. But I also knew, like, when I was writing my About Me page, they're going to need to see me.
Right.
Right. They're going to want to see me on my homepage. I'm a person. I'm not a logo.
Right. Right. Exactly. And you may, if you're going to create anything last in your business, two things I would create, absolute last, like throw them at the end of the very long list of things that you need to do for your business: business cards and a logo. Because you may make changes to your business name, your domain, your URL. You may make changes there, which will screw up all of your business cards. Not only that, but honestly, the whole business card thing is unless you're going to conferences and you're networking that way, where you need to be handing out business cards, if you're having a conversation with somebody who's interested in your services and you're like, oh, here's my business card, now you're expecting them to take the next step, your chances are like maybe 5% that they'll take that next step and move forward with you. You're going to have a lot better luck grabbing their information and getting in contact with them and sharing with them. Would it be okay if I grab your email so that we can come up with a time later of, once we both have our calendars in front of us, or whatever the case may be, right? You're going to have a lot more luck with that. So business cards, you can throw that at the end of the list. Logo, throw it at the end of the list, because your face is going to be more important. That's what you're going to use on all of your social media. It's going to be, what do you look like? Because they do want to get to see you and who you are. If they see all these different images of other people that aren't you, and then you show up to the first Zoom call and you don't look anything like any of those people, they're not going to feel very trustworthy of you. Like I don't know, there's just like this feeling you're left with, like, that was not what I expected. So how did you feel, Beth, when I talked about like adding a picture on there?
I think for me, it wasn't nearly as scary. I think I had definitely a much harder time with the video. I think I had a harder time actually letting go of the stock photos than putting I was fine putting my own photo up there. I had a harder time letting go of my stock photos, because I was like, oh, I like how it looks with the stock photos though.
Yes.
I don't know why I had that mindset, but yeah, I had that mindset rather than, oh, I'm nervous to put my photo on there.
Yeah.
But the stock photos, at the end of the day, clients don't really care as much about those. They want to see you.
No, and you want to have, like, any image that you're putting on up there needs to have a purpose. So every single image, definitely. I want you to ask this question. If you're about to put an image up there, what is the purpose of the image, and is it clearly stated for other people to know why I put that image up there? Right? Like, so we had a math tutor that came on in from Canada, and when I looked at her website right out of the get-go, I was like, where are you? I don't see you. She's like, what do you mean? I go, like, I literally cannot see you on your website. Where are you? I'm like, I see a whole bunch of other photos. I'm like, is that even a photo of your ideal client? I thought you did high school math. And it was like a younger kid. And she's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So like the kids, the images and the photos that she had didn't match the actual client that she would represent. And I think sometimes we want to make sure that we have all different kinds of kids like represented on our website. We're trying to, look at it from that point of view, that we forget that the website is while it's all about the client getting to know you, it should reflect you and who you are, but it should show you. So she ended up having her boyfriend take a picture. I thought she literally got like a professional photo done because it looked so good. She was sitting on the couch. She just had like a calculator and some other math tools like in her hand, and she's like sitting there smiling, and it was unbelievable. I was like, she showed me her website next time. I was like, yes, this is awesome. Like, did you have a professional photo shoot? Because a lot of people don't take my advice on that one, and they just take photos that they have of themselves. And she's like, I didn't, but my boyfriend took the pictures for me. I'm like, well, you tell him he did an amazing job. It looks like you had a professional photo shoot. She showed up in business. Like, she was in business attire. She was not in her yoga gear, okay? She was in business attire, and she was showing up to her tutoring website. Now, how much of a difference does that make? Right? When you show up like that, it does make a difference, right? Because we are professionals, and it sets you apart and different. And you know what happened? The next week, she ended up getting clients. It was unbelievable. This stuff really does matter, you guys. It is awesome. Well, I am so glad that you guys decided to join me today and have this conversation. I think we shared a lot of things that people don't realize when they're starting their website, and revealed some secrets for them that will really help them make some better decisions as they're creating their website. Down below, I would love for you guys to let me know, how much more confident do you feel than you did when you came to the call? I would love to know, do you feel more comfortable? Are you more nervous? Share with us how you feel. And thank you guys, Suzanne and Beth, for taking time out of your day for sharing with us your experience. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love the discussion.
Yeah, it was a great discussion. So thanks, you guys, for joining us. And thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you back here next week. Bye.